A very good morning to you, High Five Club. How are you today? I hope you're fine. And on this cold Sunday, I hope you're keeping warm also in this cold weather. And you guys, I miss you so much. All right. So before we start, first I'm gonna play you a video. I want you to dance and feel a little bit warm before we get into detail with what we're going to study today. Right? See you soon.
I lay my life down at your feet. You're the only one I need. I turn to you and you are always there. In troubled times it's you I seek. I put you first, that's all I need. I humble all I am, all to you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. You're the only one, you're the only one, you're the only one that I could live for. You're the only one, you're the only one, you're the only one that I could live for. You were always, always there, every how and everywhere. Your grace abounds so deeply within me. You will never ever change. Yesterday, today, the same. Forever till forever meets no end. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for.
Welcome back, children. I hope you enjoyed the music that I played for you. I hope it was fun and I hope you danced a little bit. Okay, so back to Sunday schools. This is time for Sunday school, so enough with the music. So today we are going to talk about a story in the Bible. And before we go into detail of that, I'm going to give you the scriptures reading. It's taken from the book of Judges, chapter 4, verses 1 to 16. Judges, chapter 4, verses 1 to 16. Do we want to know the story, or are you eager to know the story? If you are, I want you to pay a close attention to the story. You're going to learn something very important today. So let's go into detail. Once upon a time, there was a judge called Deborah. She was a leader of the Israelites, and she loved and trusted God. Deborah always listened to God and also helped the Israelites to know what God wanted them to do. She always met with them under a palm tree, all of them. One day, God spoke to Deborah. He said he had a special job for Captain Barak. Who? He had a special job for who? For Captain Barak. I want you to listen carefully. Captain Barak was the leader of the army. Do you know what is an army? You will find out. So Deborah told Captain Barak that God wanted him to go and fight King Jabin. He wanted to go and fight who? King Jabin. And now when he wanted to go and fight King Jabin's army, King Jabin, do you know who is King Jabin? King Jabin was a king of the land of Canaan. He was a what? He was a king of the land of Canaan. All right. Now this king was very bad because he attacked the Israelites and was very mean to them for how many years? He was mean to them for how many years? 20 years. So it's 20. So 10, 10. That's a very long time. Someone who is so mean like that is not a good person at all. Now let's continue the story. Deborah told Barak to take his army to Mount Tabor. To take his army where? To Mount Tabor. Who is Deborah? Deborah is the judge. All right. Now, when Deborah instructed Barak to take the army to Mount Tabor and wait for God's help, God had already set a trap for the king Jabin's army where they are going to fall into. All right, listen carefully. When Deborah told Barak to take his army to Mount Tabor and wait for God's help, God had already set a trap for King Jabin's army. Barak was afraid when he heard that. He was very afraid. Then he told Deborah that he will only go on condition that Deborah, who is the judge, went with him. So Deborah accepted. Deborah agreed. Who is Deborah again? Deborah is the judge. She agreed to go with Barak, but she knew that Barak trusted God. Then Deborah knew also that God will do as he had promised. All right? So, when Deborah left with Barak to Mount Tabor, when she saw King Jabin's army, she said to Barak, "Go now, now is the time." Barak and the Israelites did what God asked them to do that day. God kept his promise. He led King Jabin's army into the trap that he had set for them. Remember that trap that God had set for them? So God led them into that trap, and the Israelites won the battle. They won the battle. When they won the battle, why did they win the battle? They win the battle because God did what he said, what he promised. And Deborah, she trusted God to help, and God did what he had promised. God helped them to win the battle. What lesson do we get from this story? We get that we need to learn to trust God, we need to learn to obey God, and also we need to know that God always keeps his promises. He kept the promises that he told Deborah that he is going to set a trap for them. He kept his promise and they won the battle. Remember the story? And also, Deborah obeyed God when God instructed her to go and tell Captain Barak what he was supposed to do. All right? And then the other part is trusting God. Deborah trusted God and believed that God is going to keep his promise as always. He never fails us. God never ever fails. Trusting God is believing in what he says he's going to do. And always remember that God is always pleased when we believe and obey what he tells us to do. He knows what is best for us, and he cares for all his children, all right? So you should learn to trust God the same way Deborah was able to trust God, believing that wherever they are going to win the battle. So how is your faith? Do you believe that God, do you trust that God can make you pass your school? Do you trust that God can take you through this pandemic, this COVID-19 that we don't like? So do you trust in God for protection? Always remember that God is always there to protect you, to guide you, to keep you, and to lead you, and to keep you safe. All right? Okay. So remember the scripture, Proverbs 3 verse 5, which says that trust the Lord your God with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So we should trust the Lord with all our heart and lean not on your own understanding. Okay? And God will, every time we should always pray that God helps us to trust Him, helps us to obey and follow His word, because He always keeps His promises. He cares for us. This is all I have for you today. See you next time. Bye.